Welcome to... We have a lot of board games, so you get to listen to me talk about them! Clank Catacombs! This is a deck-building roguelite adventure from designer Paul Dennen and Direwolf Games, the same fellow is responsible for Dune Imperium, strong contender for best board game of all time, currently number 6 on BGG, and the digital implementations of things like Root, Everdell, Cascadia, and soon Arc Nova. They even have their own strong contender for best digital card game with Eternal. Direwolf is at the very spear tip of the current gaming scene on both the table and on your digital devices, and this game is a personal favorite release of mine. Dive deep into the dungeon to steal fantastic treasures and try to slip out before the angry dragon kills everyone inside. Snag more sweet loot than your friends to claim the title of Best Dungeoneer. This game outfits 2 to 4 players with a single meeple representing one of 4 archetypical fantasy classes, as well as a pile of cubes in their color and a couple starting lockpicks. But typical dungeon crawler this is not. You're less of a heroic adventurer and more of a hardened thief, using their quick wits and whatever resources are on hand to slip through, looting everything that isn't nailed down. Each player also receives an identical starting deck of 10 cards and draws 5 of them to start the game. A turn in Clank Catacombs consists of usually playing every card in your hand to gain all the symbols showing and then using them to take actions. The shoe symbol represents movement, and each one lets you slide through a passage into the connecting room. If you stop in one of the circular crystal caves, however, you'll get a little lost and have to stop for that turn. But on a later turn, you'll use more shoes to keep on moving, eventually moving into a passage that leads off of the starting tile. This is when you'll draw from the deck of randomly shuffled dungeon tiles. You can orient the tile wherever you want as long as it fits with the existing paths and only touches on a full flat edge. No half connections. If the tunnel shows a little goblin, you'll get attacked while in the tunnel, and you'll take a damage, moving one of your cubes to the health tracker to represent it. 10 damage, and you're dead. Now, the top handful of dungeon tiles are the safe pink rooms in the upper level, but eventually you'll end up down in the blue, deeper, scarier levels of the dungeon. This is where the game really shines. Each iteration is going to see these tiles come out in a different order and orientation, meaning that no 2 treks into the depths ever looks the same. Some tiles might not even get used at all throughout a game, and since the longer you stay down there, the more likely it is the dragon gets mad and brings the whole thing down on top of you and your pals. During play, you'll only build out the dungeon parts as you explore them, but I want to give you an idea of how massive the dungeon can be, so we'll leave this out for our examples. Some rooms have a small attachment on the side, roughly in the shape of your lockpick. That's because you can put your lockpick here to pick up a bonus. This cage contains 2 prisoners, which you'll draw randomly. Their effects vary, but they often provide items or points. You can find a helpful reference for all the various small symbols on your cardboard bits accompanying the rulebook. Once a lockpick occupies one of these spaces, no other player will be able to get anything from it on a later turn, because the cell is already empty. Other small attachments you might see are these hidden archives that give you a nice high point value secret tome that takes up space in your deck with no practical use, or even a treasure chest that's going to provide you with a major treasure, like this one that lets you move against the arrows that normally make movement one way. If you slide into a room with a small question mark, you'll get a minor item instead. This dragon egg shows this red up arrow symbol, which means the dragon gets mad when you pick it up. Go figure. That's not good. The dragon's rage is partially fueled by all the noise your actions make, representing the plus clank you'll see on various cards in your deck. Adding clank means adding cubes to this pile to be used against you later. Some tunnels have locks on them, which means they can't be used unless you unlock them with a lockpick. This tunnel leads to a market, which is a secret shop down in the depths where you can spend the coins you've earned through various cards on a couple helpful upgrades, like more lockpicks, extra health, a backpack, or just some fat points. Supply is limited, so act fast. Eventually you'll find a treasure room and get to place one of the coveted artifacts, starting with the lowest value from the pile, or potentially digging deeper into your stack if there's a plus or even 2, telling you how many to go down for the artifact you're placing. Collecting an artifact and returning to at least the upper levels is the only way for you to score at the end of the game. If you try to leave without an artifact, you've failed your expedition and you get nothing. So the balance of taking a low-cost artifact just so you get out is weighed against digging for a higher point value one, but staying longer and running the risk of not returning at all. A few final things you might see down in the depths include these way shrines, which allow you to place one of your cubes and then gain 1 coin for each way shrine you visited during the game, that is, 1 for the first, 2 for the second, and so on and so forth, as well as these pink portals, which allow you to zip from one to any other one on the map anywhere currently revealed. This is an easy way to get to the monkey talismans on the starting tile, with no actual way to access them by walking. If you ever reveal a tile with a spooky ghost, you'll add a white cube to the Clank area. So we've covered the shoes, but what about these blue numbers on the sides of your cards? Well, these represent buying power, and the total amount they give you is going to allow you to buy cards from the dungeon row or the basic cards up directly above them. You'll pay the cost in the bottom right corner and then add them to your discard pile. If they have an acquire effect, you'll get it immediately, which could be symbols that you can use during your turn. Some cards have a sword icon on them, and these allow you to fight the monsters in the dungeon row or the infinite goblins found throughout the dungeon, represented by this single goblin card that never gets discarded from the row. Pay sword icons equal to the value in the corner to gain the defeat bonus on the card. You can also use a sword to fight off the goblins in the hallways and prevent the damage from them. The final kind of card you're going to see in the row are these devices. You'll pay for them just like other cards, but rather than putting them in your discard pile, you'll just use the effect on them and then discard them. After all your shopping's done, and your turn is over, you'll finally replace all the cards that you took out of the row. If you show one of these dragon symbols, you're going to gather up all the cubes in the Clank area into the bag, and then reveal a number of cubes equal to the dragon's current rage value. Any cubes revealed in your color are going to go onto your health tracker as damage. Black cubes are a get-out-of-jail-free card, but they don't go back in the bag, so once out, they're gone forever. Ghosts deal 1 damage to everyone, and then go back in the bag. They're very bad. At higher rage values, this damage can add up really quickly. Once your turn's over, discard all the cards from your played area, and then, if your deck is empty, shuffle your discard pile to create a new deck, and draw 5 more cards. This will allow you to draw all the cool stuff that you've added to your discard pile by buying it. Play will continue like this until everyone has either escaped from the dungeon or been knocked out. Anyone knocked out or currently having escaped has their turn replaced by just causing a dragon attack, meaning the countdown gets really fast once someone is already out. If you manage to collect an artifact and make it all the way back up to the surface, you'll collect a mastery token worth 20 extra points, and then you'll sit back and wait for the game to finish up. Once everyone has made it out or been knocked out, we'll do final scoring. Remember that those with an artifact in the pink will still score, but anyone without an artifact or found in the blue section knocked out gets nothing. Take all of the green numbers across all of your components, tokens, cards, as well as every coin you earned at 1 point per coin, and add up your final score to see who's the best thief in all of Clank Catacombs.